Dhritarashtra sent Sanjaya to Upaplavya as a peace envoy, hoping to prevent war. Meanwhile, both the Pandavas and Kauravas were preparing for battle, sending messengers to call upon their allies. Soon, warriors from across the land gathered at Upaplavya and Hastinapura, bringing their armies and weapons. The Pandavas gathered 7 divisions, known as Akshauhinis, while the Kauravas amassed 11. Both sides were heavily armed and ready for the massive conflict that was looming. Nearly every prince in the kingdom, along with their military forces, had pledged support to one side or the other. This was an unprecedented moment in history. Such immense preparations for war had never been seen before. Every able-bodied man was recruited, and thousands of elephants and horses were put to use. No creature capable of carrying a burden was spared. It seemed as though the entire world was preparing for battle. Sri Krishna arrived at Upaplavya with his wife, Satyabhama, and the Pandavas warmly welcomed him, providing him with a luxurious guest palace equipped with every modern comfort. Sanjaya, following Dhritarashtra's instructions, went straight to Krishna's residence upon arriving in Upaplavya. At that time, Krishna and Satyabhama were hosting Arjuna and Draupadi in what seemed like a private and confidential meeting. Even their children were not present. Despite the intimate nature of the gathering, Krishna immediately granted Sanjaya an audience and asked about the well-being of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Sanjaya's mission was a difficult one. He had been given the task of negotiating peace, but without the power to make decisions. It was a heavy responsibility, with little authority to back it up. Sanjaya had no real power or authority when he was sent as an envoy to the Pandavas. He wasn't allowed to represent his own thoughts or even respond freely. His role was to simply deliver Dhritarashtra's message. He came with no specific peace proposal, nor did he have anything to offer the Pandavas. Yet, he was tasked with trying to convince them to choose peace. Despite these limitations, Sanjaya was deeply respected as Dhritarashtra's trusted advisor, and his loyalty to the king drove him to accept the mission. Krishna welcomed Sanjaya warmly and treated him with great respect, asking him to convey his greetings to Dhritarashtra and express hope for a peaceful resolution. Their meeting was more a gesture of courtesy than a serious discussion. Sanjaya mentioned he would meet Yudhisthira the next morning and requested Krishna to take part in the peace talks. He was then shown around the Pandavas' military camps and given a special guest house by Indrasena, the head of their guard. The next day, Sanjaya met with Yudhisthira in the royal court, bringing Dhritarashtra's greetings and well wishes. Yudhisthira inquired about the well-being of all the Kauravas, including Bhishma, and asked Sanjaya to send his regards to everyone, including Yuyutsu, Dhritarashtra's son born to a lower caste wife, as well as Karna and Shakuni. After these pleasantries, Sanjaya delivered Dhritarashtra's message. He told Yudhisthira that his uncle was pleased to hear that the Pandavas had fulfilled their exile and was happy about their peaceful intentions. Dhritarashtra praised Yudhisthira's noble nature and called him Ajatasatru, meaning one who has no enemies. Dhritarashtra believed that even if the Kauravas did not return the Pandavas' rightful kingdom, Yudhisthira would still remain peaceful. He reminded Yudhisthira that life is fleeting and full of suffering, and a war would only bring more sorrow. It would be better, Dhritarashtra said, for the Pandavas to live humbly, even as beggars, rather than wage a bloody war. Dhritarashtra expressed deep regret that his own sons were beyond his control and urged Yudhisthira to continue setting an example of goodness. He also acknowledged Duryodhana's arrogance, which was fueled by the support of great warriors like Bhishma, Drona, Kripa, and Ashwatthama, as well as Balaka, Bhagadatta, Somadatta, and Salya. Mighty and unbeatable warriors stand with Duryodhana, and he feels certain of his victory. Still, Dhritarashtra hopes that you will avoid war at any cost. Yudhisthira calmly replied to Sanjaya, addressing each point. Please convey our gratitude to our dear uncle for his concern. We too hope for the peaceful resolution he once arranged, where we can return to Indraprastha. Sanjaya, I always strive for peace. If our kingdom cannot be fully restored to us, I would be content with just 5 villages, one for each of my brothers. The world is vast, and the Kuru kingdom is large enough for us to share and live peacefully together. For 13 long years, we endured life in the wilderness while the Kauravas enjoyed their rule. Surely, they've had enough by now. However, I must address the implied threat in your words, praising the unstoppable warriors aligned with the Kauravas. We desire peace, but not the peace of the graveyard. We don't seek war, but we will fight for our freedom if necessary. Peace is always better than war, But war is better than living in chains. Swords are more honorable than slavery. Sanjaya returned to Hastinapura, disillusioned and exhausted. He met with Dhritarashtra and said, I am mentally and physically drained from my diplomatic mission and the long journey. It's already evening, so I will give you a full report tomorrow morning. With that, he left Dhritarashtra and went home to rest.